Commander Jack Reynolds stood at attention on the immaculately manicured United Nations lawn, squinting against the late summer sun. The jumbo screens erected around the perimeter showed the alien spacecraft hovering above the Hudson River. Its iridescent hull reflecting a rainbow of colors that would have been beautiful if Jack wasn't busy considering how many nukes it would take to blast the thing back to whatever corner of the universe it came from. "Stop fidgeting," General Hoffman muttered beside him. "These are historic times." "Historic wedgie is more like it," Jack whispered back. "They've been scanning us for 3 days. If they wanted to be friendly, they could have just sent a text." The crowd of diplomats, military personnel, and selected journalists collectively held their breath as a beam of light shot down from the spacecraft. Within seconds, 3 figures materialized on the makeshift landing pad. The Kraxians, as they had identified themselves in their first transmission, stood approximately 7 feet tall with sleek, silvery skin that seemed to shimmer like fish scales. Their forearms ended in 7-fingered hands, and their large, bulbous heads housed 3 sets of eyes arranged in vertical rows. "Welcome to Earth," UN Secretary-General Amara Okafor stepped forward, arms spread in the universal gesture of peace. "We are honored by your presence and eager to establish diplomatic relations between our worlds." The lead Kraxian, distinguishable by an elaborate collar of what appeared to be floating metallic orbs, tilted its head at an angle that somehow managed to look condescending across its species barriers. "We have monitored your transmissions for some time." The alien's voice came through a small device floating near its head, surprisingly clear, and with a vaguely British accent. "I am High Commander Drex of the Kraxian Hegemony. We have come to formalize your species' integration into our empire." Jack felt his eyebrows shoot up. He caught Hoffman's warning glance and forced his face back into neutral. Secretary-General Okafor's smile flickered only momentarily. "Perhaps there has been a misunderstanding. We welcome cultural exchange and potential alliance, but Earth is an independent." "Your independence is an illusion maintained by your isolation," interrupted High Commander Drex. "Your species has barely evolved beyond primates. Your technology is primitive, your social structures chaotic, and your resources poorly managed. Integration benefits all." Jack's jaw clenched so hard he worried about his dental work. In his earpiece, he could hear the Pentagon analysts buzzing with alarm. "Perhaps we could discuss these matters in a more appropriate setting," Okafor suggested, maintaining her diplomatic smile while Jack mentally awarded her an Olympic medal in keeping your cool while being insulted by space jerks. "Yes," the Kraxian's 3 sets of eyes blinked in unsettling sequential order. "Your United Nations Assembly will suffice for our initial demands, discussions." As the delegation moved toward the UN building, Jack fell into step behind the security detail, catching fragments of the aliens' conversation among themselves. "Their architecture is so quaint," one Kraxian said. "Indeed. Like watching primitive hut builders discover right angles," replied another with a trilling sound that Jack assumed was laughter. "Just smile and nod," Hoffman murmured, noticing Jack's reddening face. "Remember, you're here as military liaison, not to start an interstellar incident." "Right," Jack replied through gritted teeth. "Because nothing says welcome to Earth like letting silver squids with superiority complexes walk all over us." As they entered the General Assembly Hall, Jack caught the eye of Zara Williams, Earth's top xenodiplomat, who gave him a subtle head shake that clearly communicated, "But let the professionals handle this." Jack nodded back but couldn't help thinking that diplomacy might not be enough for visitors who'd already decided humans were just clever monkeys. He'd spent 15 years in special forces before this assignment, and something in his gut told him this first contact was about to go spectacularly wrong. The Kraxians swept into the chamber like they already owned it, barely acknowledging the assembled world leaders as they took their positions at the central podium without invitation. "People of Earth." High Commander Drex began, not bothering with pleasantries. "Today marks your civilization's ascension from isolation into the greater galactic community. Under Kraxian guidance, your primitive ways will be corrected, your resources properly allocated, and your species given purpose." Jack leaned toward Hoffman and whispered, "Did we just get colonized in the first 5 minutes? That's got to be some kind of record." The general's only response was a subtle elbow to Jack's ribs as the alien continued outlining humanity's bright future as the galaxy's newest servant race. The next morning found Jack nursing a headache in a secure conference room 17 floors below the UN building. After yesterday's welcome speech, the world's leaders had scrambled to assemble a negotiation team that wouldn't immediately punch the Kraxians in their smug triple-eyed faces. "Remind me why I'm here again?" Jack asked, sliding into a seat beside Zara Williams, whose immaculate appearance somehow suggested she'd managed 8 hours of sleep, despite the global crisis. "Because General Hoffman thinks you have," she consulted her tablet, "an uncanny ability to spot tactical bullshit." End quote. "That's generous. I just call things as I see them." "Well, today I need you to see things and not call them anything," Zara replied, straightening her already perfect collar. "The Kraxians respond poorly to direct confrontation. We need to understand their position before we can counter it." "Their position seems pretty clear. Give us your planet." "Thanks very much," Jack muttered, but he nodded agreement anyway. The conference room door slid open, and the 3 Kraxian representatives glided in. High Commander Drex was accompanied by what had been introduced as a resource acquisition specialist and a planetary integration officer, titles that did nothing to ease Jack's suspicions. "Let us not waste time with your primitive social rituals," Drex began without preamble. "We have prepared a comprehensive list of Earth's valuable resources and the extraction schedules we require." The floating translator device projected a holographic document in the center of the table. Even upside down, Jack could make out lists of minerals, water reserves, and most concerningly biological specimens. Zara's smile remained fixed in place. "High Commander, while we appreciate your efficiency, Earth operates under principles of sovereignty and self-determination. Any resource sharing would need to be mutually beneficial and—" "You misunderstand," interrupted the Kraxian resource specialist. "This is not a negotiation for resources. It is a notification of collection." Jack couldn't help himself. "Collection? Like we're some cosmic library books you're checking out?" Zara shot him a warning glance, but the Kraxian seemed more amused than offended. An apt analogy. Drex's head tilted. Though in this case the books would be disassembled for their component parts. The conference room temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. "Perhaps," Zara said carefully, "you could clarify what Earth and its people would receive in this arrangement?" "Continued existence," the integration officer stated flatly. "Many species resist initially. Those that cooperate maintain cultural remnants and limited autonomy. Those that resist—" The alien made a dismissive gesture with one of its lower arms. Jack bit his tongue so hard he tasted blood. He focused on breathing steadily while Zara continued the diplomatic dance, requesting details about Kraxian governance, technology sharing, and planetary defense. "Your species shows touching concern for abstractions like rights and freedoms," Drex observed after 2 hours of circular discussion. "These are luxury concepts for evolved civilizations, not emerging primitives. Your technology hasn't even solved basic inefficiencies like death or climate stability." "We're working on those," Jack said dryly. "Had a few distractions like reality television and cheese and aerosol cans." Zara kicked him under the table, but to his surprise, the Kraxians produced the trilling sound again: laughter. "This one speaks with unusual directness," Drex noted. "Perhaps your species isn't entirely without redeeming features." "Commander Reynolds sometimes expresses humanity's more colorful perspectives," Zara said diplomatically. The resource specialist's floating device projected new images of Earth's major cities, military installations, and what appeared to be population density maps. "Our initial assessment indicates your species would best serve as specialized labor in mineral processing and biological cultivation. Your physical durability, despite your technological limitations, is noteworthy. With proper management, humans could become quite useful." "That's very generous," Zara replied, her voice maintaining its professional calm while her knuckles whitened around her stylus. Jack stared at the ceiling, mentally reciting weapon specifications to keep from launching himself across the table. After another 3 hours of what could only generously be called negotiations, Drex presented their final position. Earth would surrender all sovereign authority within 7 solar cycles, submit to Kraxian governance, and redirect all industrial capacity toward resource extraction for the hegemony. And if we decline this generous offer? Zara asked, her tone finally showing cracks in its diplomatic veneer. All 3 sets of Drex's eyes blinked simultaneously. Decline? That would be most unfortunate. The hegemony doesn't permit developed worlds to remain unintegrated. They eventually become competitors or threats. Non-compliant planets are typically sterilized and mined autonomously. The silence in the room was absolute. We'll need time to consult with Earth's governments, Zara finally said. You have 2 of your Earth days, Drex stated, rising. We are being unusually accommodating given your planet's aesthetic appeal and biodiversity. Do not mistake patience for weakness. As the Kraxians glided from the room, Jack waited until the door closed before speaking. Well, that went about as well as a barbecue at a vegetarian convention. Zara collapsed back in her chair. We need options, Jack. Real ones. Not diplomatic fiction. Jack nodded grimly. I think it's time to talk to Thunder. Thunder? You don't mean General Thaddeus Barnes? Yep. If anyone knows humanity's real cards, it's him. I thought he was just a conspiracy theory, Zara whispered. Jack's smile was humorless. That's exactly what we wanted everyone to think. 6 hours later, after a series of transportation changes that would have impressed a paranoid spy novelist, Jack and Zara stood in a nondescript elevator descending far deeper beneath Colorado than any official installation should go. How long has this been here? Zara asked, watching the floor numbers drop well past the hundreds. Officially? It doesn't exist. Unofficially? Since about 3 days after we detected the first signals from beyond our solar system in 1947. The elevator doors opened to reveal a bustling command center that looked nothing like the retrofit Cold War bunkers above. Holographic displays showed real-time solar system monitoring, and staff in unmarked uniforms moved with practiced efficiency between workstations. Welcome to downstairs, Jack said with a hint of pride. Earth's actual defense headquarters. A tall, broad-shouldered man with a shock of white hair and a beard that would make Norse gods jealous strode toward them, moving with the energy of someone half his apparent age. Reynolds. About damn time. And you must be Williams, the word wizard. General Thaddeus Thunder Barnes extended a hand the size of a dinner plate, which Zara shook with visible surprise at his grip strength. General Barnes, I wasn't aware this facility existed, she said, professional composure recovering quickly. That's the point, isn't it? Thunder's booming laugh echoed through the chamber. Can't have the neighbors knowing we're watching them. He led them to a circular conference room where wall screens displayed the Kraxian ship from multiple angles, along with data streams Zara couldn't begin to interpret. So Thunder dropped into a chair that creaked in protest. The silver squids finally made their move. They'd been expecting this since they entered the solar system 3 months ago. 3 months? Zara's eyes widened. Their official first contact was 3 days ago. Official being the operative word. Thunder's massive fingers danced across a control panel with surprising delicacy. We've been tracking their scout ships for decades. Kraxians aren't nearly as subtle as they think they are. Jack leaned forward. Sir, they're threatening planetary sterilization if we don't surrender in 48 hours. Williams has exhausted the diplomatic options. Of course she has. Thunder nodded respectfully to Zara. Can't negotiate with folks who see you as smart livestock. What exactly are we dealing with here? Zara asked. They clearly have technology centuries beyond our official capabilities. Thunder's grin was wolfish. Official being the operative word again. With a gesture, he transformed the room into a 3-dimensional star map. Here's what the textbooks say about humanity. A tiny blue dot pulsed alone in one corner. Isolated, primitive, just figured out how to leave our atmosphere without blowing ourselves up. Another gesture, and the map expanded to show hundreds of systems with various colored indicators. Here's the actual state of play. The purple ones are Kraxian-controlled worlds. The greens are their current trade partners. The reds are civilizations they've integrated. Zara stared in stunned silence. And the blue ones? Jack prompted. Those, Thunder's eyes twinkled, are the worlds that know about us. The real us. I don't understand, Zara finally managed. Are you saying we've had interstellar capabilities all along? Since the 1970s, honey. Thunder's casual revelation hung in the air. Ever wonder why we suddenly stopped going to the moon? It wasn't budget cuts. We just found better places to visit. Jack nodded. After the first few extraterrestrial encounters, Earth's major powers made a decision. We'd present ourselves as technologically developing but ultimately harmless while quietly preparing our defenses. But why? Zara looked between them. Why hide our advancement? Thunder leaned back, chair protesting. Have you ever been to Florida? The non sequitur threw her. Ah yes, once for a conference in Miami. Did you venture out to the more interesting parts? The places where the locals wrestle alligators for fun and consider fireworks a valid problem-solving tool. I can't say that I did. Well, that's how the galactic community sees Earth, Thunder explained. We're the Florida of the Milky Way. Most advanced species observe humans from a safe distance, fascinated by our chaotic creativity, but not especially eager to make close contact. Jack picked up the thread. Early observers noted some concerning patterns in human behavior. We're the only known species that developed nuclear weapons, then immediately used them. We routinely engage in recreational activities that could kill us. Extreme sports, spicy food challenges, reality dating shows, Thunder interjected. And perhaps most concerning to methodical species like the Kraxians, we're unpredictable. We value innovation over stability, emotion alongside logic. Zara's diplomatic training was visibly battling with this new reality. So we've been pretending to be primitive because we're actually terrifying? Bingo. Thunder slapped the table. The barely evolved primates thing works in our favor. Most civilizations leave us alone because they think we're harmless but weird. The few who know our true capabilities leave us alone because they know what happens when humans feel threatened. Which is? Zara prompted. Jack and Thunder exchanged glances. Let's just say there's a reason certain star systems have exclusion zones around them now, Jack said quietly. Humanity doesn't start fights, but we sure as hell finish them. Thunder pulled up new displays showing the Kraxian vessel's technical specifications. The problem with the Kraxians is they're expansionists who didn't get the memo. They see resources, not risks. They've dominated their sector through intimidation of less advanced worlds. So what do we do? Zara asked. If we reveal our true capabilities, won't that endanger the whole Florida man strategy? That, Thunder said with a grin that belonged on a predator, is exactly what we need to figure out in the next 24 hours. We need to scare them off without showing all our cards. Zara looked between the two men, her worldview fundamentally altered. I've spent my career in international diplomacy, believing I understood Earth's position in the universe. Now you're telling me we're basically cosmic rednecks with a "don't tread on me" flag, and everyone's too nervous to check if we're bluffing? Thunder's laugh boomed again. I like her, Reynolds. She catches on quick. Jack smiled. That's why she's here. Now let's figure out how to send these silver squids packing without starting an interstellar incident. The Strategic Council convened in downstairs' main war room resembled a bizarre mixture of military precision and creative chaos. Around the massive circular table sat 12 individuals, 4 high-ranking military officers, 3 scientists whose Nobel Prizes were kept as secret as their actual work, 2 intelligence directors whose agencies didn't officially exist, Earth's premier xenolinguist, Jack and Zara. General Thunder Barnes stood at the head of the table, his massive frame casting a shadow over a holographic display of the Kraxian vessel. Right, folks. The situation is this. Silver squids want our rock. And they've given us, he checked his watch, about 38 hours to surrender before they start the planetary fumigation process. Charming, muttered Dr. Elena Kavita, quantum physicist and unofficial head of Earth's Advanced Propulsion Division. Their ship's main cannon appears to be a standard graviton disruptor. Nasty, but nothing our shields can't handle. Zara blinked. We have shields? Like in science fiction? Where do you think science fiction writers get their ideas? Elena winked. We feed them concepts decades before implementation to normalize them in the public consciousness. Can we simply demonstrate our technological superiority? Asked Director Chen of Global Intelligence. Show them our actual fleet? Admiral Washington, the oldest person in the room, shook his head. Too risky. If we reveal our full capabilities, we lose the strategic advantage of being underestimated throughout the sector. The Kraxians would retreat, then return with allies. Plus, added Jack, we'd trigger panic on Earth. Most of humanity still thinks advanced alien technology means smartphones with better cameras. Zara was adapting to these revelations with remarkable speed. So we need a response that's threatening enough to deter the Kraxians without revealing the full extent of Earth's capabilities. Precisely, Thunder confirmed. We need to be scary without showing all our teeth. The xenolinguist Dr. Omar Patel cleared his throat. From my analysis of Kraxian cultural transmissions, they value order above all else. Their expansion is methodical, their hierarchy rigid. They genuinely cannot comprehend species that thrive in chaos or unpredictability. That's humanity's superpower, Elena said with a smile. We're quantum creatures simultaneously brilliant and idiotic, peaceful and violent, logical and emotional. So we lean into their perception of us as unpredictable savages? Jack suggested. But with just enough technological capability to make them nervous? Thunder nodded enthusiastically. Now you're getting it. We don't need to show them our antimatter drives or dimensional phasing technology. We just need to convince them that humans are too much trouble to subdue. Psychological warfare, Zara realized. We position ourselves not as a technologically superior civilization, but as an uncontrollable variable in their ordered universe. The crazy neighbor with a flamethrower and nothing to lose, Jack added with a grin. The Council spent the next 3 hours crafting what Thunder enthusiastically dubbed Operation Florida Man. They compiled historical footage showing humanity's most chaotic moments alongside carefully selected demonstrations of technological capabilities that would appear simultaneously so primitive and terrifying. The key, Dr. Patel emphasized, is to present these not as threats but as normal human behavior. We're not threatening them, we're simply warning them about our nature. Jack had been unusually quiet for the past several minutes, a rarity that had not gone unnoticed. Reynolds, Thunder prompted. You've got that look that usually precedes either brilliance or property damage. Jack leaned forward. What if we don't just tell them we're dangerous? What if we demonstrate it? We're not starting an interstellar war, Commander, Admiral Washington warned. Not a war. A demonstration. Jack turned to Elena. That uninhabited moon they passed on their way in, can we still reach it without them detecting our approach? The quantum physicist smiled slowly. Shadow drive technology? Absolutely. And the new variable yield demolition charges? The ones designed for asteroid mining? Elena's smile widened. Fully operational and very photogenic. Jack turned to the room. I propose we give the Kraxians a live demonstration of what happens when humans feel threatened. Nothing that hurts them, just a clear message about what we could do if provoked. Thunder's booming laugh filled the room. Reynolds, you beautiful maniac. That's precisely the kind of unhinged thinking we need. The plan took shape with military precision and creative flair. They would return to negotiations with an entirely different approach, not as supplicants begging for mercy, but as unpredictable primitives warning the sophisticated aliens about the consequences of poking the cosmic Florida Man. As the meeting concluded, Zara pulled Jack aside. This is either the most brilliant or most insane diplomatic strategy I've ever been part of. In my experience, Jack replied with a grin, when dealing with bullies, those are often the same thing. The Kraxian delegation waited in the United Nations chamber, with the placid confidence of predators who know their prey has nowhere to run. High Commander Drex occupied the central position, flanked by his resource specialist and integration officer, all three radiating smug superiority. Their composure faltered slightly when the doors swung open and a completely different human delegation entered. On were the formal suits and diplomatic postures. Jack strode in wearing a battle-worn military uniform with sleeves rolled up to reveal intricate tattoos. Zara followed in what appeared to be casual Earth-attire jeans and a t-shirt that read "I'm with Florida Man" with an arrow pointing sideways. Behind them came Thunder Barnes in full military regalia, so decorated with medals it seemed a miracle he could stand upright. The enormous general was casually eating something from a bag labeled extra spicy ghost pepper chips without any apparent discomfort. "Greetings, representatives of Earth," Drex began, three sets of eyes blinking in sequence. "Have you come to formalize your surrender?" Jack sprawled into a chair, putting his boots up on the polished table. "Yeah, about that. We've had some discussions and we'd like to counteroffer with, how about absolutely not?" The Kraxians exchanged glances, their translator devices working overtime. "Perhaps you misunderstood the nature of our previous meeting," the resource specialist said carefully. "This is not a negotiation. You lack the capability to resist." "Do we, though?" Zara took a seat, her demeanor completely transformed from the careful diplomat of yesterday. "We thought you might need some additional context about humanity before you make decisions you can't unmake." Thunder dropped his chip bag on the table, dusting his hands. "We prepared a short presentation. Educational purposes." Jack tapped a small device, and the room's lighting dimmed as a holographic display activated in the center of the table. "This is humanity." Jack's voice took on a documentary tone as images appeared: Earth's natural beauty, children playing, art and music. "Primitive, but charming," Drex commented dismissively. "And this," Jack continued as the images shifted dramatically, "is humanity when threatened." The hologram displayed a rapid montage: World War battles, emergency responders running into burning buildings, martial arts competitions, extreme sports participants laughing after bone-breaking falls, scientists working through nights to cure diseases, and mothers lifting cars off trapped children. "Your species has violence. This is not unique," the integration officer noted, though his tone held a new note of uncertainty. "Violence isn't what makes us dangerous," Zara corrected. "It's our relationship with chaos." The montage continued: engineers testing experimental aircraft that by all logic should fail, cave divers squeezing through impossibly narrow passages, people eating competitive quantities of the world's spiciest peppers for fun, and countless examples of humans putting themselves in harm's way for reasons ranging from noble to nonsensical. "You see," Thunder explained, casually opening another bag of chips, "most species evolve to avoid danger. Humans evolve to poke it with a stick to see what happens." Jack stood and walked around the table. "You've been monitoring our broadcasts, so you've seen our entertainment. What you may not realize is that our science fiction, our imagined futures always come true eventually. Because we imagine it, then we build it," Zara added. The hologram shifted to show split-screen comparisons: cell phones next to Star Trek communicators, modern tablets beside 2001's fictional devices, like prototype exoskeletons alongside Iron Man suits. "We thought you might appreciate a small demonstration of how quickly humans can implement theoretical concepts," Jack said casually, nodding to Thunder. The general pressed a button on his wrist device. The hologram switched to a live feed of space, focusing on a small, barren moon in the outer solar system. "This uninhabited rock is approximately the size of what you'd call a Class 3 planetoid," Thunder explained. "We noticed your ship passed close to it on your approach to Earth. Without warning, a series of blinding flashes erupted across the moon's surface. When the light faded, a massive shape had been carved into the lunar landscape, Earth's astronomical symbol with a simple message beneath it: we are watching." The Kraxians physically recoiled, all three sets of eyes wide open simultaneously, apparently their version of shock. "How did you?" Drex began. "Oh, that's just a little mining technique we've been developing," Jack said with calculated casualness. "Very precise. Very controlled. Of course, if we weren't being precise or controlled. The hologram zoomed out to show the full scale of the modified moon, now missing approximately 1/8 of its mass. Impossible, whispered the resource specialist. Our scans showed no weapons of this capability. That's not a weapon, Zara corrected with a sweet smile. That's a tool. We use it for construction. Thunder leaned forward, his massive frame casting shadows over the increasingly unsettled aliens. Here's something you should understand about humans. We're not advanced because we're peaceful. We're peaceful because we're advanced enough to know better, but we never, ever forget how to be dangerous. Jack tapped his device again, and the hologram displayed Earth's military history, the rapid evolution from spears to nuclear weapons in a cosmically insignificant time span. Most species take millennia to develop new weapons technologies, Jack noted. We do it between breakfast and lunch when properly motivated. What is the meaning of this display? Drex demanded, though his voice had lost its condescending edge. Zara stood now, adopting the formal diplomatic posture that had been notably absent until this moment. This is not a threat, High Commander. It's a warning. Earth is officially extending the Kraxian Hegemony a single opportunity to reconsider its position. We have observed your civilization for months, Drex countered, but with diminished conviction. You have barely achieved rudimentary space travel. Officially, Thunder's grin was terrifying in its cheerfulness. But there's something you should know about Earth governments. We lie. Constantly. Even to our own people. Jack nodded to Zara, who activated her own device. The room's hologram shifted to show a simple text message floating in the air. Stop attacking, or we stop pretending to be civilized. You have a choice, Jack explained calmly. You can leave Earth alone and tell everyone the planet is protected, or you can find out exactly how creative humans get when our existence is threatened. The moon demonstration was us being polite, Thunder added. We have so many other ideas we've been dying to test. The resource specialist whispered something to Drex, whose silver skin had taken on a distinctly paler hue. Your species is, Drex seemed to search for words. Unpredictable, Zara offered. Volatile? Suggested Jack. Fun at parties? Thunder's booming laugh echoed through the chamber. Concerning Drex finally concluded. We will reconsider our assessment of Earth's status. Jack leaned in close to the alien leader. Wonderful. And while you're reconsidering, you might want to spread the word to your friends. Earth isn't looking for trouble, but we're very, very good at finishing it. As the Kraxians hurriedly gathered their translators and prepared to leave, Zara offered one final, perfectly diplomatic smile. Safe travels, High Commander. We do hope you'll visit again as guests rather than conquerors next time. 3 days later, Jack and Zara sat at a rooftop bar in Manhattan, watching the sunset paint the sky in colors that seemed more vivid somehow, now that they'd been nearly lost. To not being colonized, Jack raised his glass of whiskey. To diplomatic innovation, Zara clinked her martini against it. I still can't believe it worked. The Kraxians broke orbit so fast they nearly clipped their own escort vessels, Jack chuckled. Thunder says they've been broadcasting warnings about Earth across 3 sectors. What exactly are they saying about us? Jack pulled out his phone and read from the translated intercept. Approach with extreme caution. Indigenous species appears primitive, but possesses unprecedented destructive capabilities and psychological instability. Planet classified as maximum hazard zone. So we're the galactic equivalent of a house with a beware of dog sign, Zara mused. More like beware of dog, owner even crazier, Jack corrected. The best part is, 3 other expansionist species have already changed course away from our solar system. Nobody wants to mess with the unpredictable primates. The television behind the bar switched to breaking news. The anchor's expression was a mixture of confusion and excitement as she reported. Scientists are baffled by the sudden appearance of what appear to be gift baskets in orbit around Earth. These containers, currently being retrieved by the International Space Station, contain what xenolinguists believe are peace offerings from at least 5 different non-Earth civilizations. Jack and Zara exchanged knowing looks. Thunder's going to have a field day explaining this one to the public, Jack said. How exactly are they planning to handle the whole, by the way? We've had advanced space technology for decades, revelation. Zara asked. Jack shrugged. Same way governments always handle inconvenient truths, gradual disclosure packaged as new discoveries. 5 years from now, everyone will think we developed shield technology last Tuesday. Zara sipped her drink thoughtfully. You know what's really funny about all this? In my entire diplomatic career, I've never had a negotiation go so well by completely abandoning traditional diplomacy. Sometimes the best approach isn't making nice, it's making clear exactly what's at stake. Jack raised his glass again. To humanity, the Florida man of the cosmos. May everyone continue to leave us alone to do weird stuff in peace, Zara laughed. On the TV, footage showed space agency personnel carefully examining alien artifacts while commentators speculated wildly about their origins. One package appeared to contain what looked suspiciously like alien alcohol. Think we should tell them not to drink that without testing it first? Zara asked. Jack considered this for a moment, then shook his head with a grin. Nah, what's more on brand for humanity than chugging mysterious space liquor? Got to maintain our reputation. Elsewhere in the galaxy, High Commander Drex was explaining to the Kraxian High Council why their conquest fleet should permanently alter its expansion plans to exclude one particular spiral arm of the Milky Way. But the resources, began one counselor. Are not worth the risk, Drex interrupted, silver skin still pale from the memory. There are countless compliant worlds we can harvest. Let the humans have their rock. Are they truly so formidable? Asked another. Drex's 3 sets of eyes blinked in perfect unison, a rare expression of absolute certainty in Kraxian body language. They carved a warning message into a moon as a negotiation tactic, he stated flatly. They consume chemicals for entertainment that would kill most sentient species. Their entertainment constantly visualizes their own extinction, yet they laugh while watching it. The council chamber fell silent. The humans have a saying, Drex continued. They posted it across their global communication network after our departure. It seems to be their unofficial motto, hold my beer and watch this. What does it mean? A counselor asked nervously. I'm not entirely certain, Drex admitted. But every cultural expert who analyzed it came to the same conclusion: it's invariably followed by something we don't want to witness firsthand. Back on Earth, as twilight deepened over Manhattan, Jack's phone buzzed with a message from Thunder. Operation Florida Man officially classified as humanity's most successful first contact protocol. The galaxy is officially leaving us alone to do our weird human things. Jack smiled and showed the message to Zara. To weird human things, she proposed a final toast. May we keep doing them in peace, Jack agreed, while the rest of the universe politely pretends not to notice.